Okay, I'm not going to say anything that if I've seen your teachers already talked to you about it. I mean, we'll talk about a couple things.
Yeah, okay.
But that's really good. Really, really good work. So I just want to start. I have a little something to say and see if you can fill in the blank. In music, the blank is as important as the sound.
Rhythm or...
I think what's the opposite of sound?
Feeling?
I'm going to say silence.
Okay.
The silence is as important as the sound, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of times we think of, the rest are kind of the secondary thing. They're not as, but they are what makes that music that much more important. Okay, so I want to start, and you were doing really good. There's just a little bit, I want to just create a little bit more tension in the beginning. Okay. And this is partly for this sonata and Beethoven in general. If you have that silence, if you can time it just perfectly, that's what makes a lot of his music really kind of comedic and kind of just fun and really light, the lighter ones, right? This is one of his lighter, happier sonatas for sure, except for the second movement's not so much, but the first movement for sure, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to start this opening and see if you can feel, you did it wonderfully, but see if you can just hear a little bit more. So right here. Here there's a little bit more of just a slight second more of sound where you wait and it just creates a little bit more of a da-da-da-dum. Okay. Good. Good. I like that so much. How do you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I like that just because it gives it that little bit of extra tension and stuff. Yeah. And we talked about the shift that you've listened to that recording already. Do you remember what he talks about with the tonality of this? What it probably is, it represents kind of is representative of?
Oh, no, I don't.
Of a pastoral scene. It's a kind of, a pastoral is like shepherd, sheep, all those kinds of things. To me, if I have that image in my mind, it completely changes the way I play a piece. Right. Because for me, it's like, you can think of, I love sheep and goats, and they boom, boom, come out. Boom, boom. They're just kind of jumping around, and you see them doing all this crazy things. I know, it's a little crazy. But if you have that kind of image in your mind, it totally changes the way that I think that you approach it, right? Right. So that was the first spot that I really, and then, this one, actually, I thought you did it the second time, you did it even better than you did the first time. And partly because I think with that, especially with that surprising thing, right? With that surprising, lovely little chord right there, with the boom, boom, and it comes in, you're not expecting it. And I think Schiff talks about this too in his lecture, where it's talking about how Haydn says that you have an expectation and then you break the expectation, and that's what makes it comedic, and that's what he totally does right there, right? Okay, so that was the first spot, and then right here was another spot that I heard. I wanted a little bit more silence, and we'll go back to that one. There was one more spot that I wanted to do first, but where did you go? Maybe we can stick on this one then for a second, and when I think of it, when I find it, we'll go back there. Oh no, there it is right there. Okay. Right here, make sure you give that a full quarter beat, right? Because, or full beat, I guess, not a quarter beat, a full beat, or else it kind of loses the effect of it. Can you try it from, is that right? Is that an okay spot for you to start? Yeah, da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum. Make sure you keep that whole thing. Try it one more time, now that you know kind of where we are, right? Try it one more time? Okay. Good. And for me, I think this is such an arrival moment. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-yum, and then you can go straight into that da-da-da-da-dum, right? Yeah. So if you can kind of set it up really well like that, and that sounded better to me. Did it feel better to you? It was better. Okay. And it just kind of sets it up right there for that, right? There were other things that, you did really great things all the way through. The memory spot, my question for you is, do you have spots for you to jump to if you have a memory slip?
Here is just kind of that little spot, but
yeah,
just a couple major ones, but I don't have any more about
it. I would always add more. Dr. Shumway, he calls them friendly, he's a faculty member at BYU, he calls them friendly guideposts, okay? So they're your little friends that if you have a second that you're like, oh, I need to skip, then you can just go straight forward to there. And that way, it's better off, in a lesson and situation, and you were fine. In a lesson situation, it's okay if you want to try and figure it out. In a performance, though, you want to just get through that. And most of the time, people don't know. One time I skipped a page and a half of my fugue in a performance, and people didn't know because I covered it up well enough that it was okay. So it's totally possible. So sometimes we just have to be a little tricky that way. Okay. But just so I would say set up some more places. And I wanted to ask you, you did your octaves section really good, but something that might help you with your memory. I know for me, doing the split octaves, they don't stick in my mind as well, right? I don't know if your teachers had you just do them, actually block them instead of rolling them, okay? Because partly, and your thumb is the stronger of the thing, so you can do it with just your thumb and just concentrate on which notes you're jumping to. That way you isolate the arm movement, and it's more just where your finger is jumping. Where with this, you're doing the whole arm movement in there, right? Right. But your thumb can get you to get some better, a little bit of a clear memory on what each of those are. I have mixed feelings about. I'm jumping around a bunch, but I have mixed feelings about these being too, because I remember in the Schiff, he says they're really, what does he call it, secco? It's very dry. Yeah. Okay, and it needs to be kind of dry, but I think it doesn't bother me to have a little bit more pedal with those. Okay. So I don't know if I agree with him. I would listen to more recordings, and I think every recording is so different, Right. But just see, and I think make a decision. I didn't mind it how you played it, but you might get into trouble other places if you know what I mean. Yeah. So this is the other spot that I really wanted to talk to you about. So, because I love it. Having a pastoral scene, I always think a shepherd and a shepherdess are both there. There's never just one. There has to be two, right? It has to be a fun, lighthearted, we're in love kind of thing. It always makes you think that. And I remember, this part right here, I think it's very clear where it goes, you have the and then the guys come in, oh my gosh, Yeah. But there's actually another spot where I hear it, and it's right here. And I think this separation of this melody kind of is, I think it makes it really fun right here. So right here, ba da da da, da da da, but I really love you, but I just want to go play. Right? It's like that kind of idea. Yeah. So you have it right there. So I don't know if that, and I know right here she has, your teacher said, she wants you to push through there, but I think you can take a second and kind of make that a different character. Okay. And that might kind of bring some fun variety into the spot. So, can you just come straight into that? That's kind of a little tricky spot. So that kind of gives a little bit of, I like that a lot. I when I was listening to it today, again, after, I've listened to it obviously before, but when I was listening, just getting ready for a lesson, I was like, that's really fun if you, kind of break that up a little bit. It gives it a little fun flavor. Yeah. I don't know if I would make that staccato into this one. I would connect this as a line, because this one, da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, does the same thing, ba-dum, even though it's a beat to it, right? Da, 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 dum. So try that for me, just where you're connecting, where you're playing the pedal until, so I guess you clear it right there, but that you hold it through, right? So it's not staccato. So now it's breaking off a little bit. There you go. Good, and that's gotten better and better every time. I like that a lot. Okay, right here, this is the last thing we'll talk about, and then I'll let you go. Okay, but right here, these forzandi, and I love the way Schiff plays them. It's a little different. It's a little different than I'd heard them before, but it's very kind of dry how he does it, I think. But with this, because you're coming from right here, and he kind of takes just the slightest amount of time before he moves on to the next part. Right. And I think musically it makes it fun, and I think it'll give you a little bit better control of what you're doing with your hands, I think. So try it from right here. If it's just your right hand, you don't have to worry about your left hand for me. Yeah. This is that spot, right? Yeah, good. And you feel how you can hear that little bump, da-da-da-dum, bump, da-da-da-dum. And it makes that give a little bit more of a stark, I think, contrast to that, right? For sure. Yeah. Do you want to try it with the left hand? Sure. In there as well. Good. I would try it with even a little less pedal if you can, which means you're going to have to finger that a little bit more, right? Finger the legato that a little bit more. Yeah, this is the only one that I would keep the pedal on that one, because this is different, right, than these ones. Because this one is just piano right there, yeah. Okay. So So it doesn't start. I'll do it down here so you can hear a little better.
Okay.
You hear that one's different than the
Right,
ones
that
before.
was piano. Okay,
right.
so pedal on the
So
piano.
yeah, I would put a little bit more there, and then let that one be a little bit more dry.
Okay.
So you have that contrast. Try it one more time for me. It's a little bit of finger stuff, right? You get the idea. I can hear you get the idea. So it's just gonna take a little bit more coordination. I was playing this the other day, and I was like, man, that left hand's a booger. That left hand's a booger, and then later on, it's tough. Okay, so that spot, I said I know I only said one other spot, but I just one other spot.
Okay.
Is right down in here. Is the silence is so important because of that surprise right there, right?
Yeah.
Because it should go. What is it? Should go. Right. Should end on C minor, but instead he goes. It's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like a. For me, it makes me thinking of the pastoral scene, and I would encourage you if you haven't already to come up with kind of a story, kind of something that kind of happens in your mind. That for me completely will transform a piece. Okay. And if you can do that, and I don't want to tell you, you need to think this, you need to think this, you need to think this, because you might hear something different than I do, right?
Right.
But for me, right here, we have. Maybe, it reminds me of Emperor's New Groove, but anyway, it reminds me of maybe, a sheep is coming up, and let's say there's some kind of scary, there's a wolf or something, and it goes bum, 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 and it lands, and it's like, oh. It's like, all of a sudden it's just frolicking around like it's doing whatever. Here it lands, it sees that wolf, and it goes, oh. Well, and then it goes off somewhere else. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm leaving this area because I'm going to get in trouble. It made me think of Emperor's New Groove, the Jaguar scene. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Any spots that you feel like